Welcome to day 21 of the Iran war. So here is the bottom line, okay? Iran will be defeated for sure, 100%. And here's the simple reason. Iran represents only 0.3% of the world's GDP, and 0.3% cannot hold the rest of the 99.7% as the hostage for a long time. Okay. So that's the big picture. Now, the question is, why is it taking so long? Well, first of all, the US could have just dropped a nuclear bomb on Tehran on day one, and that would have been the end of the war. Okay, so that's a very simple reason. And it's also, in other words, the US is waging a moral war. It's only attacking the military bases, the intelligence, the government, and so on. It's not attacking the infrastructure, which it could have easily destroyed, right? The US has dropped about 10,000 bombs so far on Iran. And with just 1,000 bombs, it could have easily destroyed all the oil refineries in Iran. And it could have destroyed all of the basic infrastructure like water, electricity, and so on. But the US is not doing that. So that's why this war is taking a long time. That's from the US point of view. But then there are also some other aspects of Iran that we should discuss why it's harder to defeat Iran. Number one is, of course, it's a very crazy system. It's sort of like a jihadist, terrorist kind of a system where you can kill all the leaders at the top level, and you can kill all the second level and all the third level, and the system still keeps functioning. So Iran is just a bigger version of groups like Hezbollah, Hamas, Al Qaeda, ISIS, right? So that is one reason why Iran has not surrendered so far. So it's a very terrorist, jihadist kind of a system. Number two is that the system is also very distributed. So rather than having one Iran military, the US is basically facing 31 militaries. Okay, that's the number of provinces. So they have given all these leaders in the 31 provinces enough independence to do their own thing. Okay, so that's number two, why Iran is able to survive. Number three is geography. Okay, Iran is huge. It's three times the size of France, 1.6 million square kilometer. So it's very hard for the satellites to monitor that big a land and figure out all the places where they have the missile cities and where the launchers are, the missile launchers are, and so on, which detect the heat. And it's a lot more difficult with the drones because the drones don't have a lot of heat. So it's very hard for the satellites and the drones, the spy drones, to detect them. Okay. And then the next one is also geography. That's related to Strait of Hormuz, which at its narrowest point is only 21 miles wide. And the Iranian regime has all these weapons and radars in those the islands. There's this one island right there, And so they're able to use like suicide boats, drones, and even they could launch the cruise missiles. Then their ships would just have like maybe 30 seconds to detect the cruise missiles and try to block them. So it's very hard. So the Strait of Hormuz is a big leverage point for Iran. And of course, the US is now bringing in the Marines. So they'll probably land on the islands. There are two islands near the Strait of Hormuz, and there are ports. And Trump doesn't want to just destroy them. Okay, same thing with the Karg Island, where 90% of Iran's oil exports come out of. So if Trump wants, he could just totally destroy Karg Island in 1 hour. Okay, yeah. The whole island will go in flames with all the big oil tanks. But Trump wants to do a proper regime change and bring in a friendly government that will be peaceful and prosperous. So the geography of Strait of Hormuz is a big problem. And then there's one more geography, and that's the whole of Iran. So if you look at the map of Iran, you will see that it's surrounded by mountains, okay, like all around, south, west, north. It's like one big fortress of mountains. So it's not like the US could say go to Iraq or on the west or go to Azerbaijan in the north and say, hey guys, we have these tanks and the armored vehicles and trucks with soldiers. Let's send 10,000 soldiers into Tehran. No, it's very, very hard because of the mountains. So those are all the reasons, the craziness of the system. It's like a terrorist system. The geography of the land, which is huge, the geography of Strait of Hormuz, and the geography of the whole country of Iran. Okay, so that's why it's taking much longer. Now, there's also one more reason why the Iranian regime has not collapsed is that even though most of the people in Iran hate the regime is very, very cruel, right? So they don't mind shooting people, their own citizens, with machine guns. So nobody can talk against the regime. Nobody can protest. It's very brutal, brutal, totally brutal. So there could be an uprising at some point. Okay. So for that, the government has to be very, very weak in Tehran, and all these the police and the paramilitary, they're called besiege. So they have to be degraded so much, they have to be demoralized so much that they refuse to shoot the people. When that happens, then the people can rise up. They can, take over the TV stations. They can take over the parliament. They can take over a lot of the institutions. So hopefully that will happen like within, I don't know, my guess is like a month, looking at the way things are going, because the Marines are now coming from Japan. They just passed through the Strait of Malacca, and then it'll probably take another 5 days to reach the Gulf of Oman, Strait of Hormuz, and then they will try to land. Now, There's also one more thing about their terrorist nature, which is how they are attacking the oil gas infrastructure in the region. So they have attacked Saudi Arabia's oil refineries, UAE's oil refineries, Qatar's natural gas, which it says that some of these will take 1 year or more to repair. And although the number of drones and missiles fired by Iran have fallen by 90 to 95%, it's still able to fire about 20 missiles a day and 50 drones a day, right? And even if 90% of them are shot down, you still have, say, 5 drones reaching their targets. So that's enough to cause severe damage to a couple of oil refineries. And same thing with the ballistic missiles. So it's a race against time and is about who can bear more pain, right? But now, even the UK, France, Netherlands, Italy all have signed a statement saying they will help to liberate the Strait of Hormuz. But knowing the Europeans, they're not going to do anything really big. So it's going to be fully up to the American military to resolve this matter. And of course, the Israelis work with the plane, so they will help. But when it comes to boots on the ground, it's going to be the Americans. Now, uh, Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia, they're all talking big now. They're very tired and they're very angry. So they're making statements like this, Iran has crossed all the red lines. But we don't know what that means, right? Because these people have not fought a war in decades. So Qatar, UAE may have all the fancy weapons from the US, but they have no real battle skills. So I'm not sure how much helpful they can be. So, like maybe once the US takes over the island, maybe then these soldiers from Qatar, UAE, etc., can maintain the peace, right? They can act as like the police to maintain the peace. And that's also important. So, something like that would happen. But in the final point is the big, big, big picture. This is about the world order. If if say Iran succeeds in maintaining the regime, it would be a huge blow to the prestige of the U.S. And it will also be a huge blow to the world order. It means that one country can be like a terrorist country and it can do whatever it wants and it can wreak havoc on the global economy. One country can mess up the livelihood of, 190 other countries. And then this model can really spread, right? And then countries around the world will say, okay, then I'm going to manufacture and load up on 10,000 drones and 5,000 missiles, and I can get whatever I want. And I can just bully the world. I can just blackmail the world, right? Because the world has a lot of choke points and soft spots. So this cannot be allowed to succeed, and the U.S. certainly will not, and even the Europeans at some point will wake up and say no. And the Gulf countries, they just want to make money, right? So these people have been very smart over the last 35 years. and they've just focused on development, and they have made a lot of money. Like the UAE has like $1 trillion in its sovereign fund. So these people don't want to lose all that prosperity next to a rogue country that doesn't care about prosperity, but is all about the ideology, right? And then the same thing could happen with, say, Hezbollah, Hamas, Iraqi militias. It'll just be chaos if it'll be chaos all over the world if Iran is allowed to succeed. Okay, so that's about it. Thanks. See you next time.